Good morning. I'm here making my coffee and I'm thinking, there are those days you wake up and you don't want to go to work because there's this one person you don't get along with, or you don't like each other, and it's not that there's anything big between the two of you, you just maybe just don't like each other's guts. Now, I have some tips for you, some of the things that you can do. For example, number one, when they speak to you, mirror them. That means that if they're standing and having their hands like this, slowly after a few seconds, have your hands like this. If they're having their hands like this, have your hands like that. Try to mirror their behavior, right? That's one thing. Another thing is that when you're speaking to them and you want them to agree with you, and you're not sure, for example, it's your boss and always say no to every idea you come up with. Try to nod your head as you speak, slightly. As you give the point, just nod. And you will notice somehow he might just say, okay, I will think about it. At least not a no, not a yes, but at least I'll think about it. And then, if it's your boss or your supervisor or whatever, when you go for like a meeting, don't sit far away from them. Sit right next to them. Because it's very easy for us to point at someone who is far away from us. But it's almost impossible to point like, oh, look at this person, they did this and this. No. Even though they're going to talk about maybe something you did and they want to tell the rest of the group, they will do it in a more gentle manner if you're next to them. But if you're far, it's more easy. For example, I remember when we used to work at the airport, and probably different days we had a different duty manager. And if a certain person was acting and some people didn't like the person, they were like, oh, I would rather go and meet a flight, That means they don't, and you know what? That we used to wear like shoes. Let me show you the kind of shoes. This high. On the ramp, running, meeting an aircraft, they would rather do that than just come for that. But instead of avoiding them, no, just go. Because when you're not there, it's much easier for them to talk about you. For example, if you know it's something, they have to mention maybe something you did. It's very easy for them to mention when you are not around. But when you're around, it's not that easy. The other point is, so don't avoid them anyway. So appear. And when you meet them, don't look the other way. Just say hello. And not just hello, but with kind eyes and all that. And they will stop if there are people who attack you all the time at places of work. Because we know bullying happens all the time at places of work. And it doesn't have to be it's not physical when we are adults. It's more mental. Someone does something, it goes to the boss before you. You come up with a point. The next thing you hear, the person has taken the point to you. I mean, you know how it works. And the other one, when they speak to you, or when you speak to them, and you give them an idea, or you're like asking for permission for something, or you speak to them, stay silent. Let them respond. And don't have a long time explaining yourself. Just say your point, but say silent. That way, they'll have time to talk. If it's them who has spoken to you, also stay silent. You can just kind of nod. When you're nodding, they think you're agreeing with them. They will speak more. But staying silent is one thing you should do. But your gesture, your nodding, your kind of, it will make them speak more and let you know more if you need to. The other thing is, when they ask you a question, take a pause before you give an answer. That way, you look like it's a like you have thought through the answer. For example, if you say, Lillian, are you going to come tomorrow because we need some volunteers to do? I say, no. That answer right there, you're like, okay, you didn't even think about it. You didn't even pay attention to what I wanted to say. But even though I'm going to say no, I can listen. Okay, okay. Tomorrow, what time? And then you say no. And then you give a because why you will not come. That way, your answer is thought to be more, to carry more weight than just a rushed through, answer. And then the other thing is, like, for example, it doesn't matter the kind of argument you're having, whether it's a heated and whatever, don't lose your cool. So what you do is, have you ever felt so defeated when you go to your boss's office and you're trying to give them a point and they're so calm and you're like boiling inside, and it happens that you can't take it anymore, you just raise your voice? No. Actually, even research shows people who speak on a very high pitched voice, people don't take them seriously. For example, look at speakers when they speak. You don't hear them say, la, 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 la. They don't do that. Sorry, I can't even sing. But they speak in a very low tone. They speak in a very low tone, and that way they are more believable. They sound more serious. They sound like, they're clever. For example, I have noticed myself, I always not stammer, but in a way I do stammer in a way. But and instead of stammering, what I do is I pause and to correct myself.